Hello, this is Dr. Anthony Delmond. We've been discussing closing techniques over the last piece of this lecture, and now we're going to move on to a discussion of some tips for closing. There have been some along the way, but we're going to formalize a few more. As we could see from the last part of the last lecture, different closing techniques are going to work best for different situations. You want to make sure you know your product. You want to make sure that you can read your prospective customer and the situation. If you can't read those buying signals, you're not going to know when to close, and you're not going to be as successful. If you know that you have a certain customer type, you want to make sure that you tailor the close to that person. So you want to adapt as you're going along. Adaptation, if you hadn't noticed, is a theme in all of sales. You need to be able to adapt to the situation. You could plan on a multi-close combination. So we talked about some specific closes, but you might have sort of a blend of some of those. For example, you could have a summary benefits where you're outlining all the benefits of the product and then using an alternative choice to kind of wrap it all together. So you don't necessarily need to keep them isolated. You want to make sure that you're going to choose the best single or collection of closes that works in your situation for your particular client. You might even use a minor points close with a negotiation. Here are a whole bunch of options, and since you want all of these, here's what I can offer you today. Instead of just planning out a multiple close combination, you could also plan out a multi-close sequence if you think that you're not going to necessarily seal the deal right away. So for example, you could start out with the summary benefits. You're outlining all the things that you think they're interested in, and if the prospect says no, you're going to rephrase the objection, figure out if you can sort of resolve everything for them, and then you could use an alternative choice close. And if the prospect says no again, you could readdress those objections and try a negotiation close, or try a probability close, or something else after that. So if you've planned all these out in advance, you're going to be very well prepared. If you plan out only one and then you get a no, it may be a little bit harder to work on the fly. Some common mistakes that make closing hard. One is over-controlling the sales call. If you run the show, you don't ask questions, you don't get feedback, you don't use a lot of trial closes, the customer's not going to feel like they're being served, and it's going to be really hard to make that final close. You didn't pay attention to their needs. If you don't ask enough questions, or your questions are closed-ended, yes or no questions, your client, again, may not feel served, and they may not feel that they're getting their needs taken care of. If you don't listen or read your prospective customer, that could be another issue. And if you don't explain the relevant benefits, if you're focused on the benefits you think are important and not the ones that your customer cares about, they're not going to feel like you're paying attention. And then the close is not going to go well. If you don't address their objections along the way, just can't satisfy them, again, it's going to be really tough. And if you use a weak closing statement and you lack confidence, they're not going to feel confident in making a purchase decision with you. What can you do to fix each one of these? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're having issues engaging with the customers and you're running the show, establish a balanced dialogue. Get a give and take going. If they don't feel like you're listening or you're not getting enough positive feedback, use your trial closes. If you're not listening, listen. Pretty easy. You definitely need to pay attention to what the customer is saying and adapt your presentation accordingly. You need to figure out what those relevant benefits are for your customer and focus primarily on those, even if you're not planning on doing a summary benefits close at the end. You need to address their objections, the ones that they have, not the ones that you think they should have, and then you want to be really confident when you're closing. The more experience you have closing, the more confident you'll be with it. One of the things we haven't really discussed here that's important, when should you bring up money? Well, you don't want to bring up money till the very end of a sales presentation. Your customer might ask you in the first minute, what's the price of this product? And your goal is not to talk about prices till the end, because a lot of times they will shut down if they feel like the price is out of their range, even if it really isn't. So you want to make sure to save all money conversation till the end of the presentation, pretty close to the close. So That's going to come in the business proposition. The business proposition is the last section of your presentation where you start talking about the money side. You're going to discuss warranties, prices, guarantees, expectations of return on investment, how much they're going to get back for buying this product, and any of those financial or economic pieces are going to go in that section. You might have some visual aids where you're walking through some potential value for this, maybe, like I said, return on investment, but you can have tables, charts, statistics, forecasts, and so on that would be useful to your client. But again, very end is where this business proposition goes. This is the last piece of the customer benefit plan. All right, some tips. You want to leave the door open. If you don't sell the product, don't storm out and give the client two fingers. Make sure that you walk out and tell them, here's your card, and when they're ready to make a decision or ready to come back, you're always going to be there. Place the customer's needs first. If they don't need this product, don't sell it to them. Work with them to find something that will work for them. Give them enough time to think. It's really hard to give a customer a lot of time, but once you ask them to make a purchase decision, give them as much time as they need. Don't edge them. Don't break in. This is their time. They need to make a decision on their own. Recognize that you can't sell to everyone. You're not always going to satisfy everybody. Sometimes you need to be able to walk away. And don't take a buyer's denial personally. A lot of times people just don't want to buy a product. It doesn't mean that they hate you or that you're not selling a good product. It means that they're just not ready to buy right now. Be courteous and cheerful, even if things don't go as you would like them to go. They could work out later, or you could get a referral for someone else. The last thing we're going to talk about is follow-up and service. And we could break this out into something else, but I think it's worthwhile to just do it here. What's the difference? Well, service is about making a contribution to the welfare of others. Customer service involves the availability of salespeople to support customers as the customers reach back out. So you're providing a service to customers that have already purchased your product and helping them use the product or get the most out of it. Follow-up is where you're maintaining contact with a customer. So maybe you're reaching out to them. I like to view these as customer service is where the customer is reaching out to get help, and follow-up is where the salesperson is reaching back to make sure that the customer is satisfied. So it depends on who's making the reach. As I've said a few times in this course, the purpose of a sales call should not just be to make a sale, right? The purpose should be to help someone solve a problem or fulfill a need. It also makes it much easier to meet your objectives as long as your objectives are making someone happy or making a connection. A professional sales relationship should be stronger after a sale, not weaker. So if you force somebody to buy a product that they didn't want, your relationship will not be better off. So again, be more concerned with helping somebody than making a sale, but that's hard for some people. If you're really sales motivated, you need to make sure that your motivation is to have a positive outcome at the end for everyone. Should not be based on your bank account or your sales quotas. That's a recipe for long-term disaster. It's easier to sell to an existing customer than a new one. So you want to make sure you take really good care of your existing customers. Most of your sales will come from existing customers, those re-ups. Service is really a wisdom-based thing. You want to make sure that you are treating people well so that you have a long-term relationship. Knowing a lot of things is great. Having a lot of product information is great. But if you can't connect and you can't use those for the betterment of everyone, you're not going to be as successful servicing your clients. All right, so we could revisit the relationship metaphor that we had early on in this course. The same personal characteristics that lead to personal friendships are the ones that are going to build business relationships. They're very similar. A business relationship just revolves around business issues, whereas a personal relationship or friendship revolves around social issues. So we can see that over time, your low level of trust, you have acquaintances, and then as you build time, you're going to build trust, and then eventually you're going to have an intimate friend or a long-term business partner. Again, those kind of correspond to each other. Rising in relationship levels, going from the acquaintance stage to the friend stage to the intimate friend stage, requires a few things. It's going to require you to spend, obviously, time. We could see that in the chart before. It's going to require some self-disclosure. You're going to need to be able to share things about each other and sort of build that trust. You're going to have to acknowledge them, listen, be aware of each other's needs, and you're going to have continued communication. If you reach out one time and that's it, you obviously won't level up in your business relationship. We talked about the augmented product before. Your service fits into that augmented product. The customers are not just buying a physical, tangible thing. They're also buying from you. You're building a relationship as you go. So that's really important. As I said, existing customers are where a lot of your sales come from, so customer retention is really crucial to your success. And the way to retain customers is to provide positive service and follow-up. All right, so customers start out with expectations of a purchase, and then they're going to have some actual experience with the purchase. And the difference between those two is their perceived purchase satisfaction. This is subjective. It's very hard for us to know as salespeople what their expectations were versus what their actual experience was. And the relationship gap is about what your treatment of a customer was before the purchase and after the purchase. So you want to make sure that that gap is really small. You want to treat them the same way before they buy something as you do afterwards, and you want to make sure that their expectations match their actual experience. So you don't want to oversell and get somebody excited about a product they don't really want or need. If they have a high perceived purchase satisfaction, if they feel good about the product, this is similar to purchase satisfaction, but I guess the way that I see it is you can't gauge what somebody's purchase satisfaction would be. It's only their perception. If they like it, they're happy with it, their expectations and actual experience are close, then they might make a repeat purchase. And repeat purchases are customer retention. So the better job you do matching their expectations to their actual experience, the higher their perceived purchase satisfaction, the more likely it is they'll make those repeat purchases to become customers and clients that you have over the long term. Perception really is everything. Just like product quality is subjective, it depends on the individual buyer, so is service quality. How a customer perceives the service they're receiving really depends on that customer. You could provide the same levels of service for 10 people and have completely different service quality ratings for each of them. So it's really very personal, and it's hard to satisfy everyone, so you need to work hard with each individual and customize your offerings. Service quality is determined by 5 dimensions: reliability, how reliable the salesperson is; tangibility, responsiveness; assurance; and obviously empathy. But you can read about those separately. I want to make sure we get through all of this. If you want to retain current customers, you want to follow up. You want to plan out your calls and visits. You want to make sure that you reach out, but that you keep up with it and make sure that you're continuing to do it. You want to be very friendly but professional. Remember, this is a business relationship, and you want to make sure that they're happy consistently with the product and the level of service that you're offering. When you lose a customer, which can happen, keep reaching out. They might return. You want to show that you're persistent and that you have their best interest at heart, even when they're not one of your current clients. As far as customer follow-up strategies, you want to make sure that you're expressing appreciation for their business. Again, whether or not they remain your clients, you want to make sure that the products you offer them are delivered and installed on time, and that you assist with any of the issues that they have. You want to assist them with credit arrangements, finances. You want to help them with warranty and service contracts. Don't just leave them to the telemarketers. Make sure that you're, or the call center, you want to make sure that you are helping them out with these on your own. You want to represent customers and solving their problems with your company. So if they call in, they have an issue that you can't solve, make sure you are their advocate. Keep them informed. If something's going wrong with a product, if there's something new out there that they need to know about, let them know. Consistently ask them about their level of satisfaction, both again with the product and with your current level of customer service. Should you be reaching out more often? You want to think about prospects, customers, and clients as individuals. Prospects are new. Remember, customers have been buyers once or twice, and clients are those that buy from you habitually. Ask them how you might help them. Reach out, ask what you can do, and empathize. They're going to have issues. Make sure that you are sensitive to their needs. Handle their complaints carefully and deliberately. Customers who've made complaints are going to buy again if those complaints are resolved. If you don't resolve them, they're not going to buy again. This slide should actually read at least 50% if they get their complaints resolved, not less than 50%. So I'll change that. Listen to the customer. Ask for their views when they're not giving them to you. Again, they might have some hidden objections, some issues that they don't want to share, but make sure that you reach out. And maintain good client relationships, because that's really the key to your long-term success as a salesperson. And that's it. Make sure you go through all of these keywords. There are other ones out there. Make sure you know them all. And good luck.